Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Colmenares. I'm a resident pro with Aputure Lighting, and I'm here to talk about the greatest and latest addition to the Storm lineup, the Storm 400X. The Storm 400X joins the rest of the Storm family. That's the 80C, the 1000C, the 1200X, and of course the XT52, which is so large we could not even fit it in frame. It is part of what we call the Storm X series. These are the fully tunable white lights. That's the 1200X and the XT52. As you guys may know, the Cs have an additional cyan and green chip that allows them to have more saturated colors, but the X lights, these are lights that are meant for pure white light output. They're going to be brighter, they're going to put out more light, and they're actually going to give you fully tunable white light. And what we mean by that is you have a 2500 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin range for CCT, and you have a full plus green magenta control. That is the ASC MITC full green minus range. And it is the first lighting family, we're the first manufacturer to actually implement this. And all that means is a very fancy way to say that you can actually communicate with your gaffer and with your DP in a way that is natural. When you say 100% green on this light, that is the equivalent of a full plus green gel. When you say 50%, that is the equivalent of a half gel, whether it's plus green or minus green. So that when your DP says, hey, can we add 1/8 green to this light? You with confidence can actually do 12.5%, and you know you're actually adding 1/8 plus green on the light. No more guessing. That is part of the fully tunable white light engine, and that is what BLAIR offers. For those of you that are not familiar with BLAIR, BLAIR stands for blue, lime, amber, indigo, and red. First, I'm going to talk about the indigo channel. Indigo is a near UV diode that we've added to the lights. Now, traditionally, LED lights don't have ultraviolet light. That's just not part of the energy that they emit. And normally this doesn't make a difference because we cannot see ultraviolet light. But there are certain cases of fluorescence where there are objects and materials that fluoresce under ultraviolet light or near UV light. So when you stand on sunlight, there's actually some ultraviolet light hitting you, and some of those objects are fluorescing. This is very apparent when you take something like a white t-shirt that has been cleaned with like optical brighteners, like certain laundry detergents. You photograph them under daylight, and then you were to photograph them under LED lighting, they would look a little bit dull. It just wouldn't look exactly the same. And that's because the LED light just didn't have that energy to make that item fluoresce. So we've added that indigo at the near UV level so that the fluorescence comes in, and so that this better matches actual daylight, actual tungsten. It also allows us to have the highest SSI of any lights that we've created with the Storm family, and that is an SSI of 87 in tungsten as well as 85 in daylight. And that is industry leading for professional products. So that is what we mean with fully tunable white light. And that is what BLAIR offers, and that is what is inside the Storm 400X. It shares the same components with the 1200X and the XT52, and it just has the same menu, it has the same chipset, and it just makes the entire family very interchangeable. But I think some of you noticed that I mentioned blue, lime, amber, and red in that BLAIR. So we are using different spiky colors to create this white. That actually means that this light is capable of some color. The light can actually do about 70% of Rec 2020 or 87% of Rec 709. So it can have some saturated color. And in fact, we're making it available with an HSIC Plus as well as XY control on the light. And it's gonna let you bring in some of those lights. Now, of course, if you want those beautiful saturated golds, cyans, and greens, then you definitely wanna use one of the color lights, the Storm 80C or the Storm 1000C. But for maximum white output and for some color, you have the X series or the Storm X series, such as the 400X and the 1200X. Beyond that, we have the ProLock. The ProLock is my favorite addition to our Storm family, and that is a lockable Bowens mount. So this means that your Bowens modifiers are gonna fit more securely here. It's the equivalent of putting a PL mount on a camera. It's just gonna make the items align a little bit tighter, and it's gonna make them very, very secure. And that means that your optical modifiers can have a tighter tolerance. They can be a little bit more effective and more efficient, and you have more confidence that your modifiers are not going anywhere. Like the rest of the Storm family, the Storm 400X is IP rated. It's IP65, which means it can actually withstand jets of water from any direction. The head, the ballast, the power cable, as well as the head cable are all IP rated. So as it stands, what you're seeing right here, it could be just getting rained on without any protection and nothing would happen to it. The power box also features 2 battery plates. So when you need power on the go, when you need to power this in remote locations, you're fully capable of taking this light, Hollywooding it, rigging it in different places, and having it powered without being on the grid. Beyond that, the other accessory we want to talk about is the CF7. This thing is fantastic. It's part of our new compact Fresnel line. We have one for the Storm 1000 1200C and 1200X, and there will be one coming out for the XT52 as well. They are the most efficient Fresnels we've ever made. In fact, with this Fresnel, the 400X is going to be about 2 to 4 times brighter than the 300X at similar spot flood situations, and it's approaching and sometimes surpassing the 600X with the F10 Fresnel. And that's thanks to the BLAIR engine, how efficient it is at creating white light, and then the new optical modifiers and how efficient they are at taking that light and putting it out there. It creates very nice, crisp, beautiful shadows, and it comes with these beautiful barn doors. We are listening to you guys, so now these come included. They are felt lined. It is an 8-leaf barn door, and then there is actually a spot for you to put a scrim in there. So if you needed to do like a half scrim, so you wanted half of the beam to be a little bit darker, you can do that. Or I guess if you wanted to put in a scrim to make it a little bit darker, you could, although I don't know that you will need to do that, because one of the great advantages of the BLAIR engine is just how efficient it is, not just at the high end, but at the low end. So right now this light is set to 2%. I'm gonna ask them to bring it down to 0.1% and just show you guys what I mean by that. That's 0.1%. The light is actually still on. You can actually see a little bit of light here in my hand, but that's how low it goes. And that's 0.1% with this light. So we've been listening to you guys. One of the biggest feedbacks we've gotten is we want the lights to be brighter, but we also want them to be dimmer. Here you go. This is what the BLAIR engine and what the Storm series is all about, is giving you that low end control as well as that high end control. Beyond that, the Storm 400X features all the connectivity you would expect from an Aputure product. It has wireless DMX control via CRMX TMO2 chip. It has Bluetooth control. It has DMX in and out, so you can control this with Sidus Link, Sidus Link Pro, or your console or iPad DMX controllable program of choice. You know, to me, the Storm 400X is kind of the perfect light. It has enough output to be working on bigger productions, but also small and compact enough that can work on smaller productions, with the ability to put power on it on the battery pack and just power it remotely. You can take it on the go. There's just so many uses for this light. I just imagine this is probably gonna be the most popular light we have ever made. And I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. So if you do have a 400X and you do work on something really cool, don't forget to tag us on Instagram at aputure.lighting and show us your work. And if you have any other questions, anything I haven't covered here, please leave your comments below. Again, my name is Daniel Colmenares, and I'll see you guys later.